really cold and the roads aren't that great today, but thank you for being here. I'm really excited about doing this because I started to do this about a month or two ago. I was waiting for my morning coffee to kick in and I'm still a little groggy. I found myself sitting through a morning lecture, half listening to the instructor, half listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. Joe was talking about his new float tank in his house and how instrumental it was to the way he thinks and physically feels. It was the first time I heard of floating, and I was drawn to the simplicity of the idea of laying in a zero stimuli environment and floating in Epsom salts. I started to read about all the benefits of floating, and I knew at that moment that I needed to try it. Well, he not only tried it, he's opened up their own, well, I call it a spa because it's beautiful in there, and they have the business and it's called Float Therapy. I want to welcome Dustin as our speaker today, and he's going to tell us about the health benefits of floating. Thank you.
Thanks, and thanks for inviting me, Sylvia. So kind of quickly just give you a background on where we're located and kind of how it works first, and then go into the benefits. So we've been open for 13 months. So we're just located in Kensington there. We have 5 pods. So people will come in, float for generally 90 minutes. Some people will float for 60 minutes. We have a wide range of clientele. We've had people as young as 13, people as old as 85, people with all different types of oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we have a wide range of clientele, I was saying. So people as young as 13, we've had people as old as 85, 90 come in and float. And so Isaac and I, we heard about it through a podcast. We moved from Victoria to Calgary, and we started it up. Floating, it was invented, or kind of came about in 1954, but it took a long time to become mainstream. There's a movie that came out called Altered States in the 80s, and that's kind of when it increased in popularity, and then there was definitely like some sanitation concerns in the 90s, so it went away for a bit. But during that time, some of the Scandinavian countries, some countries in other countries in Europe embraced it, so such as like Sweden, Denmark, the UK, and that's where a lot of the research is coming out of. So there's 2 universities in Sweden that have published a lot of research on the pain, the benefits around pain relief, as well as relaxation and meditative benefits. So as far as how the process works, so we have 5 rooms. Each room has its own float pod. There's a picture of the float pod. So that one's about 8.5 feet by 6.5 feet. And it has 11 inches of water. So 11 inches of water and 1,200 pounds of Epsom salts. So 1,200 pounds of Epsom salts is kind of like a stack about this. Then the scoop you might put in your bathtub. And so that allows you to float effortlessly on top of the water. So it's about 6 times more salient than the Dead Sea. So some people go to the Dead Sea and float. So this is even more salient than that. So you float effortlessly on top of the water. You don't need to learn how to swim, anything like that. And there's 2 black buttons. So one controls the light inside the pod. So you can turn off the light whenever you like. And then the other one's a call button. So if anyone needs anything, they always press the button and we can just come in and knock on the door. So each pod is 8.5 feet by 5.5 feet. So there's quite a large, there's quite a lot of room there. So you can kind of move around, you can stretch out. And we have people of all different sizes, so you don't have to worry about being cramped. So people will shower before, they'll hop into the pod, they'll float for 90 minutes. We also have the option to listen to some relaxing music at the beginning, so people can sit there, relax for a bit, and then they can turn off the music. It's entirely up to you, so the experience is kind of whatever you want to make it. You can also bring in your own music. So that's a little bit about how the process works. Because you're floating, it's taking a lot of pressure off the muscles and joints. We use the highest quality, like pharmaceutical grade Epsom salts. So Epsom salts is magnesium and sulfur. So sulfur is great for inflammation and also to relax the muscles. Same with magnesium. So magnesium's in your bones, your teeth, in your muscles. It's an essential mineral. I think the latest stats are like up to 75% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. So it's a great way to get magnesium. You absorb it through your feet, mostly while you float, and also through your skin. So you don't have to worry about being, it doesn't dehydrate you at all. So you don't have to worry about that. And the water is the same temperature as your skin. So it's roughly 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not too hot. So it's not too uncomfortable. And also, so most people will also float without any light, any sound, right? So you're limiting all sensory input. So it frees up the body to relax, enter a deep state of relaxation without any sensory input or distractions. So it's just a great way to calm an overstimulated nervous system. Now, as far as neuropathy, we haven't had too many people come in with neuropathy, so I can't really speak to have too many testimonials. Sylvia can speak to her experience, but we've had a lot of people from the Chronic Pain Society, people with fibromyalgia, hypertension, all sorts of different ailments. Also, a lot of people that suffer from concussions, back pain from car accidents and things like that. It's such an individual experience. It's, we don't sell it as a cure-all, but it is a great experience. We had a lot of people come in and say that it's helped with their pain relief. So yeah, that's, as far as the research, there's tons of research out there that you can read on it. £1,200 of Epsom salts. We can't dump all the water every single session. So right beside the pod is a filter, and all the water passes through the filter for half an hour in between each float. So it gets treated with UV ozone. It's also 40% salt. So Alberta Health recognizes Epsom salt as a natural disinfectant, right?
So as it's filtering out,
Yeah.
does somebody before filters back in clean the tub out before you get in? It doesn't matter if the salt is being filtered, you still...
Clean the tub as far as, you mean the walls?
Yes.
No. So, so, and then we put in hydrogen peroxide once a day. We put in hydrogen peroxide, and then once a week we put in chlorine. But there's no chemicals, and so all the water is filtered for half an hour. Also goes through a 1 micron filter, so it's 6 times smaller than human hair. So all the water passes through the 1 micron filter 6 times. So we go above and quite a bit above and beyond what Alberta Health requires. So it's much more sanitary than if you go to a pool or a hot tub or anything like that. So yeah.
I've been in the Dead Sea and I couldn't get out.
Oh yeah.
Can you help?
So yeah, we can definitely assist for sure. So we've had certain people, most people, because the rooms are private and they lock, right? Most people will just go in by themselves. They'll go in the tub. But if you do need help, assistance getting into the pod, there's different ways around that. You can just bring a bathing suit. You find the bathing suit. Most people will float nude. So, but yeah, if you need help, we can definitely provide that assistance for sure. Yeah.
Can you fall asleep?
Yeah, people.
That's all I do. I sleep.
Yeah, people definitely fall asleep. Like I said, you're always fully supported. You don't roll over or anything like that. Also, it's 11 inches of water. So you're saying that you may have a tough time getting out of the Dead Sea. At any point you can just sit up and then you just hit the bottom, and then it just becomes like a bathtub, right? So you don't, so it's easy to get in and out. Yeah.
And cost-wise,
Yeah.
how do you charge?
Yeah, so we charge anywhere from $39 to $75 a float. I did bring some vouchers, so they're $39 vouchers. So if anyone's interested at the end, they can pick some up and then try it out. So so it would be $39 for 90 minutes.
Where are you located in town?
We're located in Kensington.
Where?
Yeah, so-
Near what?
The wine market.
Pardon?
The wine market?
You know where
Yeah, I know where Shoppers
it's in
is.
the building right next to Shoppers.
Oh, on the east side?
On Kensington.
Pardon me?
Yeah, you're on, by, next to Shoppers on the east side because there's a gas station.
Yes, on the east side. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is this strictly your company, or is some of it considered therapeutic through Alberta Health to be enough to be covered by Alberta Health or partially covered by Alberta
Right,
Health?
not yet, no. So the way it works is it's all through like the CRA, right? So once the CRA recognizes a service, then like insurance companies and other companies can write it off. So it all kind of starts with the CRA. As far as in North America, it's only really been mainstream like the last 2 years, right? So in Vancouver alone, there's been 13 float centers that have opened up in the last 2 years. Calgary, there's 3, right? So and then LA and like other places, it's quite a bit faster growth. So once we kind of see more growth, and especially in Toronto too, a lot more. So once it becomes on the CRA's radar, then they'll look at it. But they do have like hydrotherapy. So there are people with like extended health benefits where it's classified under hydrotherapy. So, but not covered under like normal.
But workers' comp might look at it
Um,
as
yeah.
hydrotherapy.
Yeah. The best thing to do is just to talk to your insurance company, and it's usually like flotation therapy or hydrotherapy. It's a little bit different than acupuncture or like massage therapy because they don't have like that registered number, right? That a masseuse would have, right? So that's the only challenge because we work with a lot of chiropractors, physiotherapists in the city, and they'll recommend people to come before like a treatment, and then they'll come in, or even massage therapists and things like that. So I think it's a matter of time before physicians will recommend it to their patients. Research that like it normalizes like blood pressure, hypertension, so things like that.
Do you have any references for any of those, like the PubMed you?
I can send them for sure. Yeah, I don't have them offhand, but yeah, I can send you an email. And,
Send it to me.
yeah,
I can distribute.
I'll send them to Sylvia if anyone's interested in just reading the abstracts or around the benefits for sure. I'd love to send that as well.
I lay the other way, does it matter? Am I in there backwards?
I lay the other way as well. Yeah, I feel more comfortable laying the other way for some reason as well. So yeah.
Or run up your nose or anything?
It's a beautiful office. It's like not working. I don't go to spas or anything. I feel like I'm going to a spa for this. The shower's right in your room. The towels are there. Everything you need is there. The pot is there. It's just been a lovely experience.
Have you had any professionals try it out themselves to give you feedback?
Professionals like chiropractors and stuff. Yeah. We have a list of chiropractors that will recommend it
No,
as
not
well as
recommend. Have used it themselves personally?
Oh, they've all used it themselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So what the way it works is that they'll come in, Travis Cox is one person, Les is another. They'll come in, they'll float, they'll have a really good experience, and then they'll come in and recommend it to their patients. Everyone has floated. We've also had like pregnant women come in that have floated with back pain as well. So there's no harm in any way. We've had there's also like athletes come in. So we've just had a wide range of people come in and try it. People, speed skaters that are suffering from back pain or concussions or anything, things like that. So, yeah, all the chiropractors and massage therapists that recommend it have tried it.
How does it work on the concussions?
Again, it's just that sensory, removing all that sensory stimuli. Yeah. So it helps with inflammation. Right?
Is there like a basic theory of what this is doing for you, or?
A basic theory? Well, there's so much involved, right? I mean, we live in such in our society today with all the different technologies and all the different noises and sounds. I mean, most people are overstimulated, right? Mm-hmm. And they're walking around in a hypervigilant state. They go from the office where they're sitting down, staring into a computer screen, then they go from that into their car, listening to the radio. This just gives people an opportunity to get out of that and to hit the reset button. Where 30, 40 years ago, it'd be easier to escape that noise, right? Where today it seems like it's harder and harder, especially with younger people being on their phones all the time, right? And also just around like the meditative benefits and also like what it's doing to your brain. There is research that suggests that it kind of takes you out of that beta and more into that theta, like creative state, almost like that dreamlike state. Like if I equate it to if you've ever been driving in a car and then you just kind of completely zoned out and you get to your destination and your brain was just kind of somewhere else for a while. That's kind of what I equate it to. You're kind of getting into that state, and everyone's experiences is so different, right? So that's why it's hard for us. Even my own personal experiences from every time I float, it's different, right? But the physical benefits are always there. It's like I can just feel like all my bones and everything just cracking, right? And your spine like decompressing and elongating, and like it just takes pressure off of all my. Like I've always had lower back pain, especially when I play basketball and everything. I just feel looser. A lot of that's to do with the Epsom salt, like the magnesium sulfate, right? Getting into the muscles. So there's definitely a lot of things that work or at play. So I think that what's going to happen is that down the road, people are going to take little things and do that research. Like, what is it doing to the brain? What are the physical benefits that it's doing to, your muscles? And what happens when you take the body out of that sympathetic overdrive and you're relaxing everything? The way I kind of look at it is anytime you can get into that different environment and just relax, a lot of good things are just going to happen. Because the body has an amazing ability to heal itself. Right, and sometimes you just can't explain it. I mean, there are even it's like if you're taking like a placebo sugar pill, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, placebo is real. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but I'm just saying that there's so many factors at play that I think over time people will start to see it. But if you can feel the benefits for yourself, then it's kind of like it's just as real, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand the body really absorbs the Epsom salt. Mm-hmm. So can you give too much Epsom salt?
Right. Yes, that's a great question. No, so it's an essential mineral, right? So it's not like a heavy metal or anything like that where it's going to be harmful, and then your body would just get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also it's so Epsom salt or magnesium does detoxify the body. So we've had people with like Lyme disease that have felt like a little bit. Like nauseous, so like people with Lyme disease have to be a little bit careful. But you can't get too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do they have to be careful?
Just because they can feel a little bit sick. I'm not an expert on
just
that.
Nauseous?
No, yeah, I'm not. So when the body detoxifies, you can feel a little bit nauseous. So like when people take too much sulfur or magnesium, they can feel that. But yeah, I'm not an expert in that. Just from people with Lyme disease that have floated.
Does your computer site have all this information?
Yeah, so I'll send the links. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference with just having a bath at home with a bunch of Epsom salts?
One would be the quantity. So quite a bit. Yeah. So it's 1,200 pounds, right? So it's like a pile about this much,
It's like a bath
right?
full of-
And just the saliency of the water, so just being able to float, and also like the size of the tub. So when you're floating, right, at least maybe after a couple times, you're not going to bump the sides, right? So it almost kind of feels like, at least when I'm floating, sometimes I feel like I'm almost floating in outer space, right? So your body is completely suspended by the water, and the water is the same temperature as your skin, right? So you're removing all that stimuli, right? Whereas in a bath, it's a little bit, it's just different. There's no light, no sound, and you're absorbing a lot more.
And the weight,
The what, sorry?
the weight.
Yeah, the weightlessness. So yeah, no gravity, no light, no sound, and no temperature gradient.
I wouldn't float at home if I took the whole package of Epsom salts.
Yeah, you float. It'd be an expensive bath though.
You might not be able to drain it.
Yeah. There's some people in Calgary that have tried to recreate it in their homes, and then they've made a mess. We've had one customer at least say that they've tried it and they made quite a mess.
With this therapy, is there, your recommendations, do they stipulate you have to come 3 times a week, or is there
Yeah,
for this package deal?
yeah, for sure. Great question. So most people, the people that I've talked to, so there's one doctor in the States, Dan Engel. He recommends, doing it at least twice a week, for a couple weeks, and then you'll see like considerable results, and then you can kind of gauge it from there. But we've had, Sylvia's, you haven't floated that much, right? You haven't floated twice in a week before, right? Right. So, and we've had people that have floated once a week, once every 2 weeks that have had benefits as well. But if it's possible to kind of float twice a week for, a month and see how that works. But for some people, they're just, with their schedules, it's just not feasible. But there are benefits if you just float for those 90 minutes, and then you can kind of gauge. But again, there's so many different reasons why people float. So people with chronic pain and like fibromyalgia, so maybe it'll take more sessions than someone that's just stressed. They're a mom and they have kids and they just want to get away for 90 minutes. They don't need as many sessions, right? So it does just depend on the person. But with Dan Engel, he kind of recommends twice a week for a couple weeks. But there are people that float once a week with different type of pain ailments, and they see considerable results.
So the benefits, like let's say you want to do, as this man is saying, Epsom salt bath at home, not like that extent, and then come in alternate weeks. Like, would that be beneficial? Like, I've never used an Epsom salt bath.
Well, Epsom salt baths are great. Some people swear by them, right? But then you also, with an Epsom salt bath, you also have to consider the quality of the Epsom salts that you're putting into your bath, as with anything.
Before this, people are doing it for centuries, right?
Right, but I'm just saying that with a bath, you have to just be aware of the quality of the Epsom salts, and that's all I'm saying. But people, we have customers that will buy 50 pounds of our Epsom salts and then use it at home, and then put in a couple of scoops. And it's still in the water, you're still absorbing it through your skin. Yeah. Magnesium. If you go to health food stores, there's magnesium sprays that people will just spray on their skin, right? Because it's hard to absorb that much magnesium. You'd have to. So magnesium can be found in like Brazilian nuts, spinach, but it's hard to get it from just food, right? Like you'd have to eat pounds and pounds of spinach, right, to get your magnesium, and no one wants to eat that much spinach, so people will buy those sprays and just spray it, or they'll get it in their Epsom salt bath.
So one thing, when your legs swell up, I think it's called edema.
Yeah.
If you do research on edema, one of the things that they recommend is soaking your feet or your legs in an Epsom salt bath. So my mom has had edema for years.
So maybe his quality of Epsom salt would be better.
Would be better, but I used to do that for her. Is get a big bucket, fill it with water and some Epsom salts, and soak her feet. And you could visibly see the swelling in her legs go down a little bit. I'm not talking huge, but you could tell that there was a difference.
And
It would
that's- and that would
increase
be
the
the-
circulation and.
Yeah, and that would be.
Does that, that type of stuff affect a diabetic or someone with a long type of disease like celiac or whatever?
No, it wouldn't affect anything like that. The only people that we recommend don't float are people with epilepsy,
Right.
seizures.
Yeah, they could get an
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah, but it's completely safe. Like I said before, doctors recommend it for pregnant women, right? There's definitely a bleed over effect, and it depends too again on how often you float, right? And again, like it goes back to kind of like what you're using it for, right? So like as far as like it's super hard to say like if you float, like it's going to provide this much hours of relief. Like we've had a lot of people that just do it for like self-improvement. Like they'll just get in there, and for them, they feel more creative after they float, or they have less anxiety. I mean, for me, probably the biggest benefit that I received was just less anxiety. Getting out of that hypervigilant state, you're able to kind of process things, you're able to think a little bit more clearly, just because you're removing all those distractions,
Yeah,
right?
good before an exam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Really.
So as far as like my bleed over effect, like I have less anxiety. I mean, some of the things that I've done in Calgary, right, I wouldn't have been able to do in Victoria just because I would have been too nervous, filled with too much anxiety. So, and then as far as pain,
Give us an
I feel
example.
great for a couple days, and then it's like, okay, if I go and I lift something bad, like maybe my back's a little bit sore, I go play a basketball game, okay, I'm a little bit sore again, then I can go float. But again, it's such an individual experience. It's really hard to say for each individual. Yeah.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me.
So